The first thing Emily heard was the click of a lighter. Not outside. Not in the kitchen. Right beside her ear. A tiny lazy flame breathing in the dark. She tried to move, but her wrists didn't obey. Something rough bit into her skin. Oh. The kind that doesn't just hold you. It punishes you for trying. The air smelled like gasoline and wet metal. Her cheek was pressed to a cold floor. Concrete. Basement. Somewhere underground where the world couldn't hear you scream. And above her, Ryan's voice floated down like a prayer spoken backward. "Stay still," he said softly, like he was calming a child. "Don't make this harder." Emily's throat burned. She tasted blood. Her own. Copper and fear. She opened her eyes, and the dim light made everything look unreal, like a nightmare filmed on an old camera. Ryan knelt near her feet. His sleeves were rolled up. His hair was neat. His wedding ring caught the light for a second like a cruel joke. He wasn't shaking. He wasn't angry. He was focused, like a man fixing a sink. "Ryan." Emily tried to say his name, but it came out as a cracked whisper. "Why?" He leaned closer and she saw it. Not madness. Calculation. "There's a policy," he said. "A big one. And there's your inheritance. And there's my life. The life I deserve." He flicked the lighter again. The flame danced. He held it over a trail of gasoline that led across the basement floor toward a door. Emily's mind screamed one thought over and over. This isn't real. But her skin knew it was real. The rope knew it was real. The gasoline knew it was real. Ryan looked at her like she was already gone. "You were always too good," he whispered. "That's what made you easy." And then he stood up, took 2 steps back and lowered the flame. The fire whooshed to life, hungry and fast, racing across the floor toward her like a living thing. Emily tried to scream, but the smoke stole her breath. Her heart slammed so hard it hurt. And the last thing she saw, through watering eyes, was Ryan turning away. Not running. Not panicking. Just walking toward the stairs like a man leaving a meeting. As the flames climbed closer, Emily's world shrank to one thought. This is how it ends. Then he wins. And right then, just as heat kissed the air near her legs, the basement door at the far end creaked open. A shadow stepped in. A man's silhouette, tall and still. Ryan froze at the bottom of the stairs and turned his head slowly, like he couldn't believe what he was seeing. And the stranger's voice cut through the crackling fire like a blade. "Ryan Carter," he said. "Put the lighter down." Emily didn't know the man. But the way Ryan's face drained of color told her one thing. Ryan knew him. And whatever secret that man carried was about to burn Ryan's life to the ground. Ryan thought he had planned the perfect ending. He thought he had erased his wife. He thought he had already won. But he had no idea that the one person he never noticed, the quiet man he ignored, the man who watched from the corners, was holding proof that would destroy him in front of everyone. And he had no idea that Emily, the woman he tried to send to the grave, wasn't finished with him. Not even close. Because when Emily crawled back from that darkness, it wasn't just to survive. It was to make sure Ryan learned what karma feels like. Low, cold, and unavoidable. It started years earlier, before basements and gasoline. Back when Emily believed love was supposed to feel safe. Back when Ryan Carter looked like the kind of man you could build a future with. Emily met Ryan in a crowded coffee shop on a rainy afternoon. She was juggling a laptop bag, a phone, and a paper cup that was about to spill. Ryan stood up from his table without hesitation. "Here," he said, taking the cup gently. "You're doing the one-person circus thing." Emily laughed because she was stressed, and laughter was easier than admitting she was tired. Ryan smiled like he'd been waiting to see that laugh all day. He was handsome in a clean, simple way. Warm eyes, nice teeth. The kind of calm voice that made you feel like everything was going to be okay. They talked for an hour. Then 2. Then he walked her to her car like it was the most normal thing in the world, like they had known each other forever. When he asked for her number, it didn't feel risky. Felt right. Ryan was charming but not loud about it. He listened. He remembered small details. The kind of guy who could say, "You like extra cinnamon, right?" and actually mean it. Emily had grown up with a father who was kind but absent, always working, always tired. She had learned young that love often came with distance. So when Ryan leaned in close, when he made her feel chosen, it lit something hungry in her heart. Within a year they were married. Small wedding. White flowers. Soft sunset. Emily's mother cried. Ryan held Emily's hands and promised, "I'll protect you. Always." Emily believed him so completely that it almost hurts to remember. Because the truth is, Ryan did protect her. He protected her. From the truth. Emily worked in marketing for a mid-sized company. She wasn't famous. She wasn't rich. But she was steady. Responsible. The kind of person who paid bills early and kept her life organized. Ryan worked in finance. He wore nice suits and people respected him. When he talked about investment and growth, Emily didn't question it. She trusted him. He was her husband. At first, their life looked like a dream. A townhouse with a little yard. Weekend trips. A dog they named Lucky because it felt like life had finally smiled on them. Ryan would bring Emily flowers sometimes for no reason. He'd kiss her forehead, call her Em, and tell her she was his best decision. But slowly, small cracks began to show. Ryan started keeping his phone face down. He began taking late meetings that never came with names. When Emily asked simple questions, his answers felt too quick. Too smooth. "Just work stuff," he'd say, then pull her close like he was doing her a favor by ending the conversation. Emily told herself she was imagining things. She told herself she was being insecure. Because the truth about love is this. When you want something to be real, you will fight your own instincts to keep believing. Then came the first lie that Emily could actually see. A letter arrived in the mail, thick and official looking. Emily opened it because she always opened the mail. It was a notice from the bank. Past due. Not a little past due. Thousands. Emily's stomach went cold. When Ryan came home, she held the letter in her shaking hand. "Ryan," she said. "What is this?" He didn't even flinch at first. Then his eyes narrowed, like he was offended she had looked. "It's nothing," he said. "It's not nothing. Says we're behind. It says." Ryan sighed and tossed his keys onto the counter like he was tired of being married. "Okay," he said, voice tight. "I didn't want to stress you out." Emily stared at him. "Stress me out with what? Ryan, what's going on?" He leaned on the counter and rubbed his forehead. "Market's been rough," he said. "I made a few moves. It'll bounce back. I just need time." Emily felt the first real sting of fear. "How much?" she asked. Ryan's jaw flexed. "Enough that we'll be fine once it turns around." "That's not a number." Ryan stepped closer, eyes sharp. "Why are you interrogating me?" "I said I've got it." Emily swallowed. Her voice came. Ryan's face softened in a way that looked like love if you didn't look too closely. "I know," he said, pulling her into a hug. "I'm sorry. I wanted to fix it before you knew. I didn't want you to worry." Emily hugged him back because she wanted to believe that was love. And for a little while she did. But debt doesn't disappear just because you hug it. More letters came. More calls. Ryan started drinking more. And then he started blaming Emily for noticing. "You don't trust me," he'd snap. "Why are you always so negative? You're making this harder than it needs to be." Emily began walking on eggshells in her own home. And that's when Vanessa showed up. Vanessa Blake was Ryan's new coworker, or so he said. He mentioned her casually at dinner one night, like she wasn't important. "She's helping on a project," he said, cutting his steak. "Smart. Efficient." Emily nodded. "That's good." Ryan didn't look up. "Yeah. She's good." The way he said it made Emily's stomach twist. A week later, Ryan came home wearing a scent that wasn't his. Emily noticed because she knew his scent. She knew the smell of his shampoo, his soap, the way his clothes usually carried a faint trace of coffee and office air. This was different. Wheat. Like expensive perfume. Emily didn't say anything. She just stared at him for a second too long. Ryan smiled at her, slow and calm. What? He asked. Nothing, Emily lied. Because sometimes when you sense danger, your body goes quiet. Not because you're okay. Because you're preparing. That night, Emily lay awake listening to Ryan breathe beside her. His breathing sounded peaceful, like his conscience was asleep. Emily stared at the ceiling and tried to tell herself she was overthinking. Then Ryan's phone buzzed. Once. 3 times. He didn't wake up. Emily's hand moved before her mind decided. She reached for the phone. The screen lit up. Name. Vanessa. And a message preview that made Emily's blood freeze. I miss you already. When is she signing the papers? Emily's hand trembled so hard the phone almost slipped. Signing what papers? Emily's heart pounded in her ears as she unlocked the screen. She knew Ryan's code. She had trusted him enough to know it. The message thread opened. And there it was. Not just flirting. Not just cheating. Planning. Numbers. Words that didn't belong in a marriage. Life insurance is set. Just need her signature on the update. She trusts you. She'll do it. After that, we just wait. Emily's mouth went dry. She scrolled further back, fingers numb. Once she's gone, it's clean. No fight. No divorce. No messy splitting. She won't see it coming. Emily sat up in bed, the room spinning. Ryan shifted slightly, still sleeping. Still peaceful. Emily looked at him like she was seeing him for the first time. He wasn't her husband. He was a stranger wearing her husband's face. Emily didn't confront him that night. She didn't scream. She didn't throw the phone. She just lay back down and stared into the dark, trying not to make a sound. Because deep down she knew something terrifying. If Ryan was willing to plan her death, then confronting him could speed it up. So Emily did something that felt wrong but necessary. She pretended. The next morning she smiled. She made coffee. She kissed Ryan's cheek like nothing had changed. Ryan smiled back, warm and easy, like he had no fear at all. Morning, Em, he said. Emily's stomach rolled, but she kept her voice steady. Morning. Ryan watched her for a moment. Everything okay? He asked. Emily forced a small laugh. Yeah. Why wouldn't it be? Ryan held her gaze too long, like he was checking for cracks. Then he smiled again. Good. When he left for work, Emily locked the door and slid down against it, shaking. Her hands pressed against her mouth as tears poured out. She cried silently, because she didn't want the neighbors to hear. Not because she cared what they thought. Because shame has a way of making victims quiet. Emily wiped her face and made a decision. If Ryan wanted her signature, she would give him something. But not what he expected. She called her friend Jessica, who worked as a paralegal. Jessica picked up on the second ring. Hey, Jessica said. You okay? You sound weird. Emily's voice cracked. Jess, I need help. And I need you not to freak out. Emily. What's going on? Emily swallowed hard. I think Ryan is planning something. Something bad. Jessica went quiet. Then her voice turned sharp. Where are you? At home. Are you safe? I don't know. Jessica inhaled slowly. Okay. Listen to me. Don't confront him. Don't. You hear me? Emily squeezed her eyes shut. I saw his messages. Save them, Jessica said instantly. Screenshots. Email them to yourself. And to me. Right now. Emily nodded even though Jessica couldn't see. Okay. And Emily, Jessica added, voice low. If he's talking about insurance, we need a lawyer. And we need to get you somewhere safe. Emily stared at the living room. Their wedding photo sat on the mantel. Ryan's arm around her. Both of them smiling. Picture of a lie. I can't just leave, Emily whispered. If I leave, he'll know I know. Jessica's voice softened. Then we get smart. We get ahead. Emily did what Jessica said. She took screenshots. She emailed them. She hid copies in a folder Ryan didn't know about. For the next week, Emily played her role so perfectly she surprised herself. She laughed at Ryan's jokes. She asked about his day. She let him touch her hand across the table even though it made her skin crawl. And Ryan, watching her, seemed pleased. Too pleased. One evening Ryan came home with a folder. "Good news," he said brightly. "I talked to our insurance guy. We can lower our premiums if we adjust some stuff." Emily's pulse spiked, but she kept her face calm. "Adjust? Just some beneficiary updates, some coverage changes," Ryan said, flipping open the folder. "It's standard." He slid a pen toward her. Emily stared at it. The pen looked normal. But to her it looked like a knife. Ryan smiled. "Just sign here and here." Emily leaned closer, pretending to read. Jessica had warned her. Don't sign anything you don't fully understand. But Emily also knew if she refused, Ryan might react. So she did something else. She smiled and said, "Okay. But can we sign it tomorrow? I've got a headache." Ryan's smile faltered for half a second. Then he leaned in, voice gentle. "Of course. You've been stressed. We'll do it tomorrow." He kissed her forehead like he was a caring husband. Emily's body went stiff. As he walked away, Emily saw him pick up his phone. He texted someone quickly. Emily didn't have to see the screen to know who it was. Vanessa. That night, Emily told Jessica everything. Jessica's voice was urgent. "Emily, he's moving. You have to move faster." Emily whispered. "What do I do?" Jessica exhaled hard. "We need an investigator. Someone who knows how to catch this legally. Because if you accuse him without proof, he'll flip it on you. He'll call you paranoid. He'll call you unstable." Emily's eyes filled with tears. "I feel unstable." "I know," Jessica said softly. "That's what fear does. But you're not crazy. You're awake." The next day, Emily met a private investigator named Daniel Hart. Daniel looked at the screenshots, then looked at Emily. "This is serious," he said. Emily swallowed. "Can you help me?" Daniel nodded once. "Yes, but you need to understand something. If your husband is planning to stage an accident, you can't predict when. You can't wait for the perfect moment." Emily's voice shook. "I don't want to die." Daniel's gaze didn't soften, but it wasn't cruel. It was real. "Then you don't go anywhere alone," he said. "You don't sign anything. And you start acting like someone who already knows she's being hunted." Emily left that office feeling like the world had changed shape. The sun was still bright outside. Cars still moved. People still laughed. But Emily felt like she was walking through glass. That night Ryan cooked dinner. He never cooked dinner. He lit candles. He played music. He poured wine. Emily sat at the table, staring at him like he was a performer in a play she didn't want to watch. Ryan smiled. "What? Can't I be romantic?" Emily forced a laugh. "No, it's sweet." Ryan walked behind her chair and rubbed her shoulders. His hands felt warm. But Emily only felt fear. Ryan leaned down near her ear. "After dinner I want to take you somewhere. Just us." Emily's stomach dropped. "Where?" Ryan's voice stayed soft. "A surprise." Emily's mind raced. Surprise. Alone. But danger. He tried to stall. "Ryan, I'm tired." He squeezed her shoulders a little harder. Not enough to hurt. Just enough to remind. "You'll like it," he said. Emily's fingers curled under the table. She thought of Daniel's words. "Don't go anywhere alone." Emily smiled again, like an actress in a burning theater. "Okay," she said. "Let me just change." In the bedroom, Emily locked the door and texted Daniel. "Ryan is taking me somewhere tonight. I'm scared." Daniel called immediately. "Can you leave?" he asked. Emily whispered. "Not without him knowing." Daniel's voice was calm. "Then we follow. I'll be nearby. Keep your location on. If anything feels wrong, you call me, even if you can't speak." Emily's throat tightened. "Okay." Emily opened the door and stepped back into the role. Ryan drove them out of town. The city lights faded behind them. The road became darker. Trees swallowed the street. Emily watched the miles pass like a countdown. "Where are we going?" she asked, trying to sound casual. Ryan smiled. "You'll see." Emily looked at his hands on the steering wheel. Steady, relaxed, like he wasn't driving his wife into a trap. When they finally turned onto a narrow road, Emily's heart began to pound so hard she thought she might throw up. It was empty. No houses, no streetlights, just darkness and a strip of pavement stretching into nothing. Ryan slowed near an old warehouse. Emily stared at it. The place looked abandoned. Broken windows, rusted metal doors. Ryan parked. "We're here," he said. Emily's mouth went dry. "Here." Ryan turned to her, smile still gentle. "Come on. Trust me. Trust me." Those words used to feel like love. Now they felt like a coffin closing. Emily stepped out of the car. The air was cold and damp. Somewhere nearby, water dripped steadily like a slow clock. Ryan walked around and took her hand. His grip was firm. "Why here?" Emily asked. Ryan squeezed her fingers. "Just something I want to show you." They walked toward the warehouse door. Emily glanced behind them, searching the darkness for headlights, for Daniel. Nothing. Ryan pushed open the door. Inside it smelled like oil and old dust. The space was huge and empty. Their footsteps echoed. Emily's skin prickled. "Ryan," she whispered. "This is creepy." Ryan laughed softly. "You watch too many scary videos." He guided her deeper into the building. Then suddenly Ryan stopped. "Close your eyes," he said. Emily froze. "What?" "Close your eyes," he repeated, still calm. "I want it to be a surprise." Emily didn't want to. Every instinct screamed no. But she also knew resistance might trigger him. So she slowly closed her eyes. For a second there was only darkness. Then she heard a sound. Soft scrape. Something moving. Emily opened her eyes. Ryan was holding rope. Emily's breath caught. "Ryan, what is that?" His expression didn't change. "Just a game," he said. Emily stepped back. "No." Ryan moved closer. "Emily, don't be dramatic." "Stop," she said, voice shaking. Ryan's smile faded. His eyes turned cold. And in that moment, Emily saw the real man. Not the husband. Not the charmer. The predator. Ryan grabbed her wrist. Emily screamed. Ryan slapped a hand over her mouth so fast her teeth hit his palm. "Shut up," he hissed. Emily kicked, fought, clawed. Ryan dragged her across the floor like she weighed nothing. Her shoes scraped. Her knees hit concrete. Pain shot through her. Ryan forced her toward a stairwell leading down. Emily twisted, trying to break free, but Ryan's grip was iron. He yanked her down the stairs. Step after step. Emily's shoulder slammed the railing. Her vision blurred. Then the basement. Concrete. Cold. Gasoline smell. And rope cutting into her wrists as Ryan tied her down. Emily's breath came in sharp, panicked bursts. Ryan stood above her, calm as ever. "You were going to ruin everything," he said, like she had done something wrong. Emily's tears fell fast. "Please don't." Ryan tilted his head, almost curious. "Why not?" he asked. "You're not giving me anything else." Emily sobbed, shaking her head. "I loved you." Ryan's mouth twitched like he almost smiled. "That was your mistake." He pulled out the lighter. And that's when the hook of this nightmare tightened. That's when Emily realized there was no convincing him. No soft words. No promise. No memory of their wedding day that could bring back the man she thought she married. Because that man never existed. Ryan flicked the lighter. He poured gasoline in a thin trail across the floor. Emily's heart pounded like a drum. "Ryan," she begged, voice breaking. "Please. I'll sign. I'll do whatever you want. Just let me go." Ryan's eyes stayed empty. "I don't need you alive to sign," he said. Emily froze. "What?" Ryan shrugged slightly. You'd be surprised what people can do with a pen when they have time. Emily's stomach dropped. He wasn't just killing her. He was stealing her identity, erasing her. He walked toward the stairs. Emily screamed into the gag he had shoved into her mouth. Ryan turned back one last time. His voice was soft, almost kind. "Thank you," he said, "for being so easy." And then he lowered the lighter toward the gasoline. Fire raced. Heat rose. Smoke burned Emily's eyes. She twisted and fought, but the rope held. Her wrist screamed. Her lungs tightened. And that's when the basement door creaked open. A shadow stepped inside. Ryan froze. The stranger's voice cut through the crackle of flames. "Ryan Carter. Put the lighter down." Ryan's face changed. For the first time that night, fear appeared. "Daniel," Ryan whispered, shocked. Emily's eyes widened. "Daniel. The investigator. He was here." Daniel stepped forward, and behind him, two more silhouettes appeared. Stronger. Bigger. Not police. Not yet. But backup. Ryan's voice sharpened. "This is none of your business." Daniel's tone stayed flat. "It became my business when you started forging documents. When you started planning murder. When you thought you were smarter than the system." Ryan's eyes flicked to Emily, then back to Daniel. "You don't know anything," Ryan snapped. Daniel pulled a folder from his jacket and held it up. "I know plenty," he said. "And I know—" Ryan's face tightened. "You're bluffing." Daniel shook his head slowly. "I'm not here to argue," he said. "I'm here to stop you." Ryan's hand tightened around the lighter. The flames crackled louder. Emily's vision blurred from smoke. Daniel looked at Emily. "Emily," he said, voice firm. "Stay with me. Help is coming." Ryan laughed suddenly, sharp and ugly. "You think you're a hero," he snarled. "You think you can just walk in here and—" One of Daniel's men stepped forward. Ryan's gaze darted, calculating. He took a step back toward the stairs. And then, in a split second, Ryan did what cowards do. He ran. He bolted up the stairs fast. Daniel shouted, "Go!" One of the men chased him. Daniel rushed to Emily. He knelt, slicing the rope with something sharp. Emily gasped as her wrists released, pain exploding through her arms. Daniel pulled the gag out of her mouth. Emily coughed, choking on smoke. "Can you stand?" Daniel asked. Emily tried, but her legs shook. Daniel wrapped an arm around her and lifted her. They stumbled toward the door as the fire spread behind them. The air grew hotter. Emily's eyes watered so badly she could barely see. Daniel dragged her up the stairs. They burst out of the warehouse just as the fire roared louder inside, like the building was screaming. Cold night air hit Emily's lungs like ice. She collapsed to her knees, coughing and sobbing. Daniel crouched beside her. "You're alive," he said. Emily looked up at him with shaking eyes. Why are you here?" she rasped. Daniel's face stayed serious. "Because you're not the first woman he's done this to," Daniel said quietly. Emily's blood ran cold. "What?" Daniel's gaze hardened. "He tried something similar years ago. Not fire. But a tragic accident. The woman didn't survive." Emily's stomach twisted. Ryan wasn't desperate. He was practiced. Sirens wailed in the distance. Daniel stood and spoke quickly into his phone. Emily turned her head, searching the dark road. Then she saw headlights. Car speeding toward them. Ryan's car. Ryan had come back. He wasn't running away. He was coming to finish the job. Emily's breath caught. Daniel saw it too. His voice turned sharp. "Emily, get up. Now." Emily tried, but her legs wobbled. The headlights grew closer. Ryan's car swerved toward them. The engine roared. Emily screamed. Daniel grabbed her and shoved her sideways. They rolled across gravel as the car slammed past, missing them by inches. The wind of it felt like death brushing her cheek. The car skidded, then turned sharply, coming back around. Ryan's window was down. His face was twisted with rage. "You ruined everything," he screamed. Daniel pulled out his phone again. Police are on the way, Ryan. Stop. Ryan laughed, wild. You think I care? He stepped on the gas. The car lunged again. Daniel yanked Emily up, dragging her behind a concrete barrier. The car smashed into the barrier with a violent crunch. Metal screamed. Glass shattered. For a moment everything went still. Emily's ears rang. She stared, breathing hard. Ryan's car sat smoking, front end crumpled. Ryan shoved the door open and stumbled out, furious and desperate. He started toward them. And that's when the sirens arrived. Bright red and blue lights flooded the road. Ryan froze. Police cars surrounded the area like a net snapping shut. Officers jumped out, guns drawn. Hands up! Someone shouted. Ryan looked around, trapped. His eyes met Emily's. And in his gaze, Emily saw it. Not love. Not regret. Hatred. Like she had stolen something from him. But Emily's fear had changed. It was still there. But underneath it was something new. Hard, cold fire. Promise. Ryan raised his hands slowly. As officers moved in, Daniel leaned down to Emily and said in a low voice, "This is only the beginning." Emily swallowed, trembling. "What do you mean?" Daniel's eyes stayed steady. "Because men like him don't just lose once. They fight. They lie. They twist things. He will try to paint you as crazy. He will try to make you disappear again." Emily's throat tightened. "Then what do I do?" Daniel's voice dropped even lower. "You let him think he's winning," Daniel said. "And then you come back, when he least expects it." Emily stared at him. Come back. That phrase would become her weapon. Because Ryan didn't just try to kill Emily that night. He awakened something in her. Something that refused to die quietly. The official story after the fire and the crash was messy. Ryan was arrested for attempted murder, arson and assault. But money talks, and Ryan had more friends than Emily realized. He had people who owed him favors. People who would rather protect their own reputation than tell the truth. Within days, Ryan's lawyer was on television, smiling in a crisp suit, saying the situation was misunderstood. They called it a marital dispute. They said Emily was emotionally unstable. They suggested she had imagined the insurance plot. Emily sat in a hospital bed with bandaged wrists and bruises blooming across her skin like dark flowers, watching strangers debate her life like it was entertainment. Ryan's mother even came to the hospital and stood at the foot of Emily's bed. Her eyes were dry. Her voice was sharp. "My son would never do this," she said. "You always were dramatic." Emily stared at her, shocked. "I almost died," Emily whispered. Ryan's mother leaned closer. "If you ruin his life, you'll regret it." Emily felt something snap inside her. Not loud. Not explosive. Just gone. The last thread of softness. The last desire to make peace. Because this wasn't just Ryan. This was a whole world that protected men like him. And Emily realized something terrifying. If she stayed visible, they could still reach her. If Ryan got out even for a day, he would finish what he started. Daniel visited her the next morning. He sat beside her bed like a steady shadow. Emily looked at him and whispered, "He's going to get out." Daniel didn't deny it. Instead, he said, "Then we take away what he wants most." Emily swallowed. "What does he want most?" Daniel's answer was simple. "Your money," he said. "And your silence." Emily stared at the ceiling, heart aching. "How do I fight him?" she asked. Daniel's eyes narrowed. "By becoming a ghost," he said. "By letting him think you're gone, while you build the knife he'll never see coming." Emily's skin went cold. "You mean disappear?" Daniel nodded. Emily whispered, "That sounds like hell." Daniel's voice was calm. "It is. But it's temporary. And it's the only way to make sure he can't touch you while you gather proof that can't be bought." Emily thought about the flames, the rope, Ryan's eyes. Then she thought about justice. Real justice. The kind that doesn't depend on people doing the right thing. The kind you force into the light. Emily's voice came out steady. "Do it," she said. "Make me disappear." And that's how Emily Carter died. In paper. A week later. A complication from smoke inhalation, they said. A private burial, they said. Closed casket. No photos. No public service. Ryan cried for the cameras. He wore black. He held his head like a broken man. And when he thought no one was looking, he smiled. Because he believed he had won. He didn't know Emily was watching from a distance, wearing a hood, standing behind a tree with For months, Emily lived in silence. Different hair. Different clothes. Different name. She stayed in a small apartment under Daniel's protection, far from the life she used to know. No social media. No calls to old friends. No contact with her mother. Only Jessica knew the full truth. And even she had to pretend Emily was gone. Emily watched Ryan from the shadows. Ryan moved quickly. He filed paperwork. He pushed insurance claims. He sold their townhouse. He cleaned out accounts. He did it all with a calm smile, like grief was a costume he wore when needed. Vanessa moved in with him within 2 months. Emily saw them once through binoculars from across the street. Vanessa laughed as Ryan kissed her neck. They looked happy. Emily felt sick. Not because she wanted Ryan back, but because her pain meant nothing to them. Her life meant nothing. She was just a problem they believed they had solved. Daniel helped Emily gather evidence. Bank records, emails, voice recordings, proof of forged signatures, proof of transfers, proof of Ryan's plan. And then Daniel found something that made even him go quiet. One night, he sat at the table with his laptop open, his face pale. Emily's stomach tightened. "What?" she asked. Daniel looked at her. "You asked why I got involved," he said. Emily nodded slowly. Daniel turned the screen toward her. "File. A report. Name. Not Emily. Another woman. Rachel Monroe," Emily read aloud. Daniel's voice was low. "She was Ryan's girlfriend before you. She died in what was called an accident. Fall. No witnesses. Her life insurance paid out to... Guess who?" Emily's hands flew to her mouth. "Ryan," she whispered. Daniel nodded. He learned it worked. He learned the system is slow and people are easy to fool. Emily felt rage rise like fire in her chest. "So he would have done it again," she said. "Over and over." Daniel's eyes stayed on hers. "Unless someone stops him." Emily's voice turned hard. "Then we stop him." They built the trap carefully. Not just to arrest Ryan. To destroy him. To expose him publicly. To take away every mask he used. Daniel connected with a prosecutor who couldn't be bought. A woman named Captain Laura Mitchell from a financial crimes unit, who hated men like Ryan because she had seen too many cases buried. Laura didn't care about Ryan's suit or smile. She cared about evidence. Emily watched Laura once through a video call. Face hidden, voice altered. Laura said, "If you're real, if you're alive, and you're willing to testify when the time comes, we can bury him." Emily's throat tightened. "To testify, I have to come back," Emily said quietly. Laura's voice was steady. "Yes." Emily stared at her own reflection in a dark window. Come back. A part of Emily wanted to stay hidden forever, because being dead meant being safe. But another part of her, the part Ryan tried to burn, wanted something else. She wanted him to look her in the eyes and realize. He failed. Emily said, "I'll testify." The day they chose was perfect. Ryan was hosting a charity gala. It was a show. Performance. Ryan wanted the world to see him as a grieving husband who turned pain into purpose. He had invited donors, business partners, local news. Vanessa stood beside him in a red dress, smiling like she belonged there. Emily watched the event on a live stream from a laptop in a dark room. Daniel stood behind her. "You ready?" he asked. Emily's hands shook. But her voice was steady. "I've been ready since the basement," she said. Daniel nodded. "Then let's bring you back from hell." Emily arrived at the gala disguised, wearing a simple black dress and a wig. Her face was partially hidden by the crowd, by shadows, by careful angles. Daniel walked beside her like a quiet guard. Laura Mitchell's team was already inside, waiting. Ryan stood on stage, microphone in hand. He spoke about loss and love, and honoring Emily's memory. Emily listened, jaw clenched so tight it hurt. Ryan smiled sadly for the cameras. Then he lifted a glass. "To Emily," he said. "The greatest woman I ever knew." Vanessa dabbed at fake tears. The crowd applauded. Emily's vision blurred with anger. Daniel leaned close. "Now." Laura's team moved. 2 officers stepped into view near the stage. Ryan noticed them and paused, confused. Laura Mitchell walked forward, badge visible, calm as a storm. "Ryan Carter," Laura said loudly. "We have a warrant for your arrest." The room went silent. Cameras turned. Whispers erupted like sparks. Ryan's smile froze. He laughed nervously. This is inappropriate. There must be a mistake." Laura's voice didn't change. "Attempted murder, fraud, forgery, arson, conspiracy. And we have evidence tying you to the death of Rachel Monroe." Ryan's face went pale. Vanessa stepped forward, eyes wide. "That's insane." Laura turned slightly. "Vanessa Blake, you're also under arrest for conspiracy and aiding in fraud." Vanessa's mouth dropped open. Ryan's eyes darted across the room, searching for an escape, searching for someone to save him. And then Laura lifted her hand. "Before we take you," she said, "there's one more thing." Ryan's brow furrowed, breathing fast. Laura looked toward the crowd. "Emily Carter," she said into the microphone. "If you're ready." The room held its breath. Ryan's face twisted. "Stop," he hissed. "What is this?" Emily stepped forward. Slowly, calmly, like a ghost deciding to become real. She removed the wig. She lifted her chin. And she looked straight at Ryan. The room exploded into gasps. People backed away like they had seen a miracle or a monster. Ryan staggered back, eyes wide, mouth opening and closing like his brain couldn't accept it. "No," he whispered. "No, you're dead." Emily's voice carried across the silent room, clear and cold. "I was," she said. "You tried very hard to make sure of it." Vanessa let out a strangled sound. Ryan's hands trembled. This is a trick." Emily took one step closer. Each step felt like reclaiming her body, reclaiming her name, reclaiming everything he tried to steal. Ryan's voice broke. "Emily, please." Emily's eyes didn't soften. "You begged me to trust you," she said. "You begged me to sign. You begged me to love you while you planned to bury me." Ryan swallowed hard, eyes flicking to the cameras, to the crowd, to the officers. He tried to smile, tried to regain control. "Emily," he said loudly, putting on his grieving husband voice. "If you're alive, thank God. But this is a misunderstanding. You're confused. You've been through trauma." Emily cut him off. "No," she said. "I'm finally clear." Daniel stepped forward and handed Laura a folder. Laura opened it and raised it for the cameras to see. "Financial records," she said. "Audio recordings. Digital messages. Ryan Carter's own words." Ryan's face twisted. "You can't prove anything," he snapped. Emily's voice dropped low, deadly. "Oh, Ryan," she said. "You taught me something." Ryan's eyes locked on hers, wild. Emily leaned in just enough for him to hear. Just enough to make it personal. Cameras captured it all. The perfect image Ryan had built shattered in real time. As Ryan was pulled past Emily, he twisted his head toward her, eyes burning. "You ruined me," he hissed. Emily's voice stayed calm. "No," she said. "You did." Ryan's face broke, rage turning into panic. "This isn't fair," he shouted. Emily stared at him, steady. "That's what I said in the basement," she replied. "Right before you lit the fire." Ryan went silent. For the first time, he had nothing left to say. Because the truth was finally louder than his lies. The trial was ugly. Ryan's lawyer tried everything. They said Emily staged it for attention. They said she was bitter. They tried to make her the villain for surviving. But evidence doesn't care about charm. Evidence doesn't care about excuses. The messages, the records, the transfers, the forgery, the pattern with Rachel Monroe. Each piece stacked on top of the other until Ryan's story collapsed. Emily took the stand. She spoke slowly, clearly, describing the warehouse, the rope, the gasoline, the lighter. She did not cry. Not because she didn't feel, but because tears weren't for him anymore. When she finished, Ryan stared at her, jaw tight, eyes empty. And Emily realized something strange. The man who once terrified her looked small. In the end, the verdict came down like a hammer. Guilty. Ryan was sentenced to a long prison term. Vanessa, caught in her own messages and lies, also went down. Reporters tried to chase Emily afterward, but she didn't run. She stood outside the courthouse with sunlight on her face, breathing air that felt new. Jessica hugged her so tight Emily could barely breathe. "You did it," Jessica whispered. Emily's voice cracked, finally letting the emotion rise. "I lived," she said. Daniel stood a few feet away, watching quietly, like a man making sure the job was done. Emily walked over to him. "Why did you really help me?" she asked softly. "You said I wasn't the first woman, but you didn't have to risk this." Daniel's eyes held something heavy. "My sister dated a man like Ryan," he said quietly. "Not the same crimes, but the same smile. The same manipulation. She didn't survive." Emily's chest tightened. Daniel's voice stayed steady. "When I saw your file, I promised myself I wouldn't watch another woman disappear." Emily swallowed tears. "Thank you," she whispered. Daniel nodded once. "Go live now, Emily. That's the part that hurts them most." Emily did. She rebuilt her life with boundaries made of steel. She learned to trust her instincts again. She started a foundation in Rachel Monroe's name, supporting women escaping dangerous relationships, because Emily refused to let Rachel be forgotten. And sometimes late at night, Emily would sit in her quiet home, petting Lucky, staring at the dark window. She would remember the basement, the heat, the smoke, the lighter, and she would think about what it really meant to come back from hell. It wasn't magic. It wasn't a ghost story. It was a choice. A choice to refuse to stay buried. A choice to turn pain into power. A choice to look evil in the face and say, "You don't get to write my ending." Because karma isn't always lightning from the sky. Sometimes it's slow. Sometimes it's patient. Sometimes it waits until you build your whole fake life on top of your lies. And then it pulls one brick. And everything collapses. So if you're listening to this and you've ever felt betrayed, used, or erased, remember Emily. Remember that survival is not just breathing. Survival is reclaiming your name. And if you believe in karma, real karma, the kind that exposes darkness and rewards courage, then subscribe to this channel. Because some stories don't just entertain us. They remind us. No matter how deep the betrayal, no matter how hot the fire, if you keep going, you can come back. And when you do, the people who tried to destroy you will learn the one truth they never wanted to face. You can't kill what refuses to stay dead.